Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's episode of Lewis Presents. Where I'm standing now, this is Trinity Close, just off Granley Road. And what you're seeing behind me is a housing estate. But less than 35 years ago, the scene down here was very different. This used to be a football ground, and it was run and owned by a team called Leytonstone Football Club. They were founded in 1886, and this was their ground. Where I'm standing now, it used to be a three-sided ground. The entrance used to be here on Granley Road. There used to be a block of terraces over here and a wooden stand up there. There used to be another covered stand behind the goal over there, and there was a corrugated iron fence with a corrugated iron top over there. And then the ground was closed off by the gardens over there. So it was only a three-sided ground. And there was a little club over there called the Cedars. But this Leytonstone Football Club really enjoyed the heydays of the 40s and 50s. Hard to imagine now, but down here at Granley Road, where this main entrance was, thousands of people used to queue up here at 1 o'clock on a Saturday to watch Leytonstone play. And the ones that couldn't get in used to buy platform tickets and watch from the railway station above. Leytonstone in the 40s and 50s used to get average gates of 8,000. This was in the days before TV, when the working classes had the cinema, the radio and live sport to watch as their entertainment. In the 60s was also a good time for Leytonstone Football Club. In 1968 they reached the final of the FA Amateur Cup at Wembley. 57,000 people turned up to cheer on Leytonstone. Leytonstone won 1-0, they beat Cheshire United, and there was they only played with 10 men for the best part of 70 minutes. They brought on a substitute as a man was injured, and then the substitute got injured. And in the second half, the Leytonstone goalkeeper, Billy Hadlow, saved a penalty. And with them winning that trophy, they then qualified for the Anglo-Italian Amateur Cup. And they played a team called Steffa of Rome, an Italian railway team. And the first leg was played over there at Leyton Orient. 12,000 people turned up to watch a 1-1 draw. A couple of weeks later, they played the return leg in Rome, and Leytonstone drew that match 2-2. The aggregate score was 3-3, but Leytonstone won the trophy on the away goals ruling. I remember also in the 70s was a time that I started watching Leytonstone. My first match I watched here was on a Tuesday night in September 1976. I saw Leytonstone play Dulwich Hamlet. They won 4-0. And the centre half that night playing for Leytonstone was John Steele, who is still in the game today. He managed Leytonstone, Dagenham and Redbridge, Barnet, Peterborough, and he's still in the game today coaching at Maidstone United. But I remember some of the games I watched over here from 76 to 86 until Leytonstone left here. In 1977 of March that year, I saw Leytonstone play Hayes, and it was a 1-1 draw. Leytonstone were winning 1-0 until the final few minutes, and a chap scored the equaliser for Hayes. His name was Cyril Regis. He went on to play for West Brom, Coventry and England. I never remember another match here that happened in 1979. Ilford were merged in, and the name of the club had been changed to Leytonstone and Ilford. But I remember that year, in 1979, they played an FA Trophy second qualifying match against Barnet. Barnet were in the newly formed conference and managed by Barry Fry. Leytonstone were 2 divisions down, playing in Isthmian League Division 1. There were 500 people watching the game that day. Leytonstone took the lead 1-0 but couldn't hold on and eventually lost the game 2-1. But playing in the midfield that day for Leytonstone was a player who really caught the eye. His name was Terry Hurlock. He went on to play for Brentford, Reading, Glasgow Rangers, Millwall, Southampton, and even won a cap as an England B international. And also another game I remember here was in the pre-season friendly of 1983. They played Leyton Orient here, which is the club I support. And that night, twice Leytonstone had the lead against a full-strength Leyton Orient team. Leytonstone were winning 1-0, 2-1, but Leytonstone eventually lost the game 4-2. And that match was quite memorable because it was one of the early games in charge for their then manager Frank Clark, who had just taken over. And I remember that night, for the last 20 minutes, Frank Clark brought on the youth team coach, newly appointed. It was Pat Holland, who later went on to manage Leyton Orient and also won the FA Cup with West Ham in 1975 and 1980. But over the years, I saw the crowds decline over here. Where I started coming in 76, they were getting average crowds of 500 to 600. By the early 80s, they were getting 50 to 60 people. And in the end was going to come. They couldn't sustain the losses any longer. The last match took place here on the 26th of April, 1986. They played Finchley in a 1-1 draw. And this ground that once held 8,000, 74 people turned up that day. Saw a 1-1 draw with Finchley, and the ground was closed down. As the crowd filtered away, not long afterwards the diggers turned up and demolished the whole stadium, and Leytonstone and Ilford went off to ground share with Walthamstow Avenue. But myself, I witnessed the demolition personally, because I was the postman down here at Granley Road from 1983 to 86. Leytonstone then went to Walthamstow Avenue, and they finished their days there in 1989 as Isthmian League champions. They're now part of the group called Dagenham and Redbridge. I hope you enjoyed this presentation of Lewis Presents. It was called Leytonstone FC. Thanks for watching.